Hello and welcome to our live training session as the Reds get ready for this session ahead of our Europa League tie against Real Sociedad. And just as I say that, the wind is picking up as well, which is lovely conditions here at Carrington Training Complex. But we've shown a great fight in San Sebastian last week when we drew with the La Liga side. But now all eyes are going to be set on the Theatre of Dreams tomorrow night as we fight to progress to the next stage. Joining me, I have got the Athletics' very own Laurie Whitwell. There is a huge opportunity for Manchester United here, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. I think the game over in Spain showed that Real Sociedad are beatable. Clearly, mid-table in La Liga this season, but I think the expectation maybe was that they would have, a good level of technical quality and maybe prove too much for United given the many injuries that they've got. But actually, United obviously went ahead, could have won the game really, had a lot of control in the second half, created a lot of chances, but just weren't able to press home the advantage, and then the penalty changed the momentum, and Sociedad finished stronger. So, 1-1, evenly poised. Zubimendi will be back for Real Sociedad, we think. So, they've got their best player back in midfield, but big opportunity for United to go through here.
Before we have more of the players heading out here, you've been busy as well because you've been in London for the stadium announcement. What was that day like as it unfolded? Yeah, a
lot of information actually, more information than I was anticipating. Obviously we saw the designs, which I guess people can have their views on. Even Jim Ratcliffe was saying, it's up to people how iconic they think it is. He was referencing the Eiffel Tower in some of the stuff that he was saying, so clearly he wants it to be a destination for people around the world. In terms of how they're going to build it, I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, providing they get the funding, which is the big question. They're confident they're going to get it, but still there's some details there to be revealed. They haven't sorted that yet. But in terms of the actual modular build of the stadium, I think that's really interesting that they can, perhaps prefabricate sort of parts of it away from Manchester and then bring it on the Manchester Ship Canal, sort of reimagining that whole area really, because I don't think there's been loads of traffic on the canal for many years, so to actually perhaps see the Stretford end coming down the canal will be a pretty cool image. It feels like what they want to have happen very quickly. The government needs to back it to make it accelerate. 5 years they're hoping for, and work this year, which is quite a major statement to make. Let's see if it can happen.
Yeah, let's see. It's an exciting time with those plans that have been announced, but as we can see, some of the players are coming out now to warm up, and there is a lot of pressure on this game, and we did very well in the previous fixture against La Real. How much confidence do you think that will instill into this squad?
I think it'll show them that they can go and win the game, right? It feels like a lot of the time this squad has been affected by confidence issues, and they've had hits in games and not been able to kind of recover from them. But this was one where there was a little bit of uncertainty over how they would actually go in the game, and in the end they showed themselves to be pretty competent outfit. Josh Zirkzee, I thought, had one of his best games actually, scored the goal obviously, but his link-up play I think was really good, and he continued that I think against Arsenal as well, so I feel like he might be pivotal to the occasion. Obviously Bruno Fernandes, he's in such great form, and he's really shouldering the responsibility of being United captain with those important goals, so I think a lot will rest on his shoulders as well.
Well, now we can see Mason Mount back into training. A huge moment for him after getting back from his hamstring injury. This is probably the best news for Ruben to have now that he's back in the side, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. I believe it might be too soon for Thursday, but I guess let's see. But him being back in team training is important. It's been 12 weeks since he suffered that hamstring injury against Man City, and you could see the sort of desperation on his face when it happened. He'd started that game, hadn't he? It was, a pretty big moment because, Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho were out of the squad entirely, so he was chosen in that number 10 role, and for his game to finish so soon, you could see the pain on his face. He's had a real tough time, hasn't he, since he joined from Chelsea. The injuries, he was really strong when he was at Chelsea, so it's not like, usually, and we're going to see he's getting the gauntlet, I think, so he's been out for 12 weeks. And it's obviously like a pretty major moment that people want to sort of, celebrate his coming back into the team. We'll get out of the way.
This will be great to see now as well, as you said, the gauntlet that's happening here. This just shows the team camaraderie in the squad that's around here, the excitement and everyone's face as they celebrate Mason Mount being back into training.
You just hope, don't you, that this can be the start of him staying fit for a long period of time, because it's been injury interrupted since he joined from Chelsea, really, and he's shown both on the ball, off the ball, the important aspects that he's got in his game that can really suit, I think, what Ruben Amorim wants from his players. And I think he was saying that when he injured himself against City, that it was just bad luck, really, rather than anything to do with his body. It was a hyperextension of the leg. So, and we're seeing some kicks getting into Manuel Ugarte. He's back as well, so that's another important sign.
Yeah, it is huge that Manuel Ugarte is back as well. It was a 2-game absence for him. Him being back in training could show that he could return tomorrow, which would be a huge boost to this team.
I think he's shown himself, hasn't he, as a player equipped for what Ruben Amorim wants. It's not been absolutely smooth, but I think the episode, which game was it, where he was getting sort of a bit rough with Ipswich, wasn't it? Against Liam Delap, and you had Mazraoui come across and barge him over. So a bit of team spirit there. Yeah, but I mean, he needs options, doesn't he, Ruben Amorim? I mean, we heard what Sir Jim Ratcliffe was saying on Monday in terms of the injuries affecting what he thinks Amorim's been able to do. So if he's got a couple more players, particularly in that engine room as well, the midfield options, I think it's so vital to be able to have a strong core to your team. And Bruno Fernandes has had to drop back, hasn't he, number 6 role. He's actually played it pretty well, and certainly he's got a strength by being there, but you kind of, I think, want him higher up the pitch or making those key interventions in the final third.
One thing that you do want is characters in moments like this, as we've said in the season, where it's been a very up and down season for us. And Mason Mount has always been known as this key player in the squad when it comes to that camaraderie around everyone, that team chemistry. It seems that he gets on with every single group of these players. Yeah,
he seems a very likeable guy. I mean, I interviewed him actually when he was at Derby County on loan from Chelsea, and really pleasant person to speak to. And even then, actually, he was giving lifts out to teammates. He was the taxi service for some of them that didn't actually drive. So I thought that was quite sweet. And he was only, early 20s at that point. So I think he comes across as a good guy, as a professional. You just want to know how are these injuries happening, and what can be done to kind of avoid them. Is it just bad luck? Is there anything else that's going on? So hopefully, like I say, they've obviously been really careful about reintroducing him. It's been 12 weeks, which I think was at the top end of what the original prognosis was. So for him to come back now, they obviously feel, right, OK, he's ready, and let's slowly build him back into actual game time.
Yeah, hopefully we will see him back on that pitch very, very soon. But now let's talk about Bruno Fernandes. He's been involved in more goals than any other Manchester United player in the Europa League. He's racked up a whopping 10 goals and 10 assists. He's been vital for us, but more so, as we say all the time this season, I think he's covered pretty much every position apart from goalkeeper.
Yeah, this is it, and you can depend on him for that, right? He's never going to say no to performing in any kind of role that you want. I mean, I saw him at the end of the game against Arsenal, and I mean, he looked absolutely shattered, to be honest. I mean, a lot of the players did. I think there was some hard running done by all of them in that game, but in particular, I mean, Bruno's an example, isn't he? I think it was a couple of seasons ago when they were in the Europa League United that he played the most minutes of any player in Europe, which is, astonishing, really. And Erik ten Hag was a massive fan of his, obviously, made him captain. That has continued with Ruben Amorim, who, after the game against Arsenal, said, we need more Brunos. And you can see how if you had Bruno as a number 6, a Bruno as a number 10, maybe even a Bruno as a centre forward, he can put the ball in the back of the net. I'm not being I'm not trying to be too childish there, but I think the way that he conducts himself and the kind of athleticism that he does have, I know he's not the quickest, but I think the amount that he puts into the pitch every single time he's out there, I think he's certainly an example for people.
It is a great model for all of these players to have, especially when you look at people like Patrick Dorgu, because obviously he's only joined over the past month or so. He's already settled in quite well. He's got some great role models around him, like I said. It's as if his transition has been seamless. He's
been really good, I think, from what we've seen so far. And I know it's not, a huge sample size to pick from, but what I've liked about his play so far is when he gets the ball in the final third, he crosses it first time. It's quick, it's aggressive. He's able to dribble with the ball, carry it good distance and either progress the ball up the pitch or win a foul. I think he was the most fouled player against Everton. I think he got fouled like 5 times, and the next person along was 2. And he gets, like I say, he gets the ball into the box early. He can obviously play right or left, although I think, as Ruben Amorim's mentioned to the journalists that were asking him about playing on the right-hand side when he first came to the club, that maybe the left side does seem to suit him, particularly in this moment. But I think it does show, the hope around him in the January transfer window. Okay, yeah, when money was tight and they couldn't go out and buy everyone they wanted, that he was the one that was chosen as the player to come in this part of the season, and he's started straight away. And obviously he'll start in the Europa League on Thursday against Real Sociedad, given he is suspended in the domestic campaign at the moment. But yeah, hopefully he'll go. I mean, in that Ipswich game as well. I mean, obviously he got sent off. It was a VAR decision. You could see why he got sent off after the replay got showed. But he actually, again, even though he had a mistake with Andre Onana for the first goal, he played pretty well.
He's one of the best players.
Yeah, carrying the ball. I think that's the kind of thing that the Old Trafford crowd like to see, right? That kind of aggression with the ball and power and speed. Having that, I think that's what United's squad have lacked quite a bit in the recent years. So, yeah, I've liked what I've seen from him so far.
It has been good, and we can hear more from Patrick Dorgu later on with Ruben Amorim in the pre-match press conference, which will be live on MUTV from 1:15, so make sure you tune into that. But now I want to talk a little bit about defensively forwards. We're on Matthias de Ligt right now as well, but we have a stronger defence in comparison to La Real, especially as they've failed to keep a clean sheet in any of their last 6 away games. They've conceded 10 goals. And I think we were a little bit surprised with how much they fell off it during the first half last week. They've lost now against Sevilla. This could be a great opportunity. If we are solid tomorrow night, it could be a great game for the Reds.
Yeah, I mean, I think keeping a clean sheet, is an absolute priority, just because then, score 1 goal, you're through. And scoring goals hasn't been the easiest for United this season, so they need to make sure they're tight at the back. But yeah, to your point on Matthias de Ligt, I think he's been in a really good vein of form actually, and sort of showing that kind of leadership that we saw. I mean, Erik ten Hag made him captain at Ajax when he was 18, basically because he came into a game actually that Mason Mount was playing him against Vitesse Arnhem. So they lost to Vitesse Arnhem, Ajax did, and they were trying to go for the title at that point. And teammates were kind of blaming different aspects around the game, the referee, the pitch conditions, the weather, and de Ligt came in and said, stop complaining, you've got to look at ourselves first and foremost if we're going to be champions. And ten Hag, sort of, from what I'm told, liked what he saw there, and then basically decided the next day to make him captain at 18. So you sort of forget that he's still only 25, I think. It's kind of crazy that he's had this sort of long career already. And yeah, I mean, people might say, is he the most mobile? I've seen parts of his game when he's looked pretty quick, to be honest. I mean, maybe that's not his absolute forte, but the blocks that he's been able to do, the kind of sensing of danger, I think he was very good over in Spain. I think he was, again, very good against Arsenal. So, yeah, I think if he can... Again, injuries have hit United. Obviously, Harry Maguire's not here. So he's going to have a little bit of a dilemma, Lisandro Martinez being out as well, over who he plays as the back 3. But you're sort of wondering, OK, if Dorgu's back, then Mazraoui could maybe slip back into the back 3. You've got de Ligt, you've got Lindelof, you've got Aiden Heaven, who looks pretty accomplished on Sunday. I know it's, again, only one match, but so there's options there.
It was good to see, obviously, Heaven jumping in there, especially as Lenny Yoro, he come off. He was requiring assessment after that. At the minute, I don't think I can see one here. Who knows? He could come out on the pitch later on after we've had to shoot off. But players that you've got there, Mazraoui, Toby Collier, versatile players that fit into all these defensive positions, which is music to Ruben's ears.
Loves a versatile player, doesn't he? And that's actually, we were speaking to Omar Baradi yesterday at the stadium announcement, and sort of asking him about the need for recruitment to, go beyond just one particular manager, perhaps, and that's something that United have maybe suffered from, where you've kind of gone too much into one manager, and then it's been a case of the next manager picking up from there, and it's been a bit of a hodgepodge. But actually, what Barado is saying is that they want to get players that can fit any system, you know. So you're thinking Patrick Dorgu is a versatile. You know, he's played in the back four with Lecce. He's played right wing, I think. He's played left and right wing back. So that's the kind of player. And Toby Collier does certainly fit that bill. I mean, remember when he played left back, I think, against Barnsley. So he's come back, hasn't he? He's had a little bit of time out as well. But I think, settled that chance for Rasmus Højlund against Arsenal. Had a decent cameo over in Spain as well. So yeah, good options. Huge options.
Now, as we said at the start of this conversation, I think if we were overlooking over the past few weeks, you would have thought that the game away in San Sebastian would have been tough for us. But we made it look like we were confident during that game. Arsenal at the weekend as well, we were battling in that performance. So things could be looking up tomorrow night for Manchester United.
I'm quite hopeful. I mean, obviously, the only team, I think I'm right in saying this, in Europe, certainly in the top two competitions, still unbeaten in Europe, certainly in the Europa League. So, I think that they've obviously got a bit of momentum in that competition. OK, it's not been flowing football every single game, but they've been hard to beat. And at Old Trafford, under the floodlights, you hope that the atmosphere is going to carry them to victory.
Yeah, that's the main thing. As you rightly said, Manchester United are still unbeaten in the Europa League so far. Unbeaten in 9 Europa League fixtures since April 2023, losing away to Sevilla. A huge moment that could be tomorrow night. But thank you very much for joining me, Laurie. I'll let you crack on for the press conference. As I said, that'll be live from 1:15 on MUTV, and tune in tomorrow night for Match Day Live from 6:55 for all the build-up to this huge game. See you then.